Stress is an inevitable part of life, but its management is crucial if we're going to remain consistent and if we're going to set ourselves up for success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm so excited that you're here on my 100-day walk to consistency. This is day number 23. Today we're going to be talking about a very crucial and very important topic. Before we jump in, remember that consistency is your key. What we do, we're setting ourselves up for success. We're building each day, we're adding another piece to the puzzle to allow us to do the things we need to do. So I'll see you on the walk. Let's get started. So what is stress? Stress is the body's response to perceived demands or danger or threats. So when the body sees a stressor, then it kicks into gear. The nervous system takes over. There are signals that are sent, and then our adrenals, which is part of our hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, goes into force, and hormones are released. We've heard of the stress response, which is the fight, the flight, and we've also added the idea of freeze, right? Because sometimes that is a part of what happens. But these hormones kick in, and because of the hormones, then the body can have different responses. So the two of the hormones that will kick in, epinephrine and cortisol. Epinephrine's job is to get the body ready to respond to any energy that is brought in. And then cortisol's job is to go and find the energy, that is sugar. And so it's not uncommon when someone is in a stressful situation, and if you're diabetic, you probably know this, or if you're checking your blood sugar, you see that the blood sugar level goes up. And people often wonder, say, wait a minute, I didn't eat anything, so why would my blood sugar be higher? Well, your blood sugar is higher because during that stressful event, your body went and found energy, and energy in the body is called sugar. So anyway, so the body goes out, it finds cortisol, or cortisol goes out and it finds sugar. It dumps that sugar into your into the circulation, into your vessels, and now you have energy. And then the epinephrine has already prepped you to be able to use that energy. And so that is the stress response. And that sometimes will show up as jitteriness, that will show up as feeling some anxiety, because all of that cortisol, all of that energy, all that epinephrine is now having an effect in your system. And so, do you know, here's an interesting thought. Do you know that your body responds exactly the same whether you are afraid or whether you're excited? So often we will feel a particular way and we will think that is fear, but the body really is just kind of getting us ready to step into that space. It's kind of like when you're giving a talk and your hands feel a little clammy, your heart rate has gone up, your mouth is a little dry. Most people will see that and think that is because I'm anxious, that's because I am afraid. Well, the true fact is that you may be afraid, you may be anxious, but you would feel exactly the same things. You would have exactly the same responses if you were also just excited about the talk. And so often we put that on a fear. We say, hey, that's because I'm afraid, but it can actually be the fact that you are excited. So that's what stress is. And why is stress important? Stress is important because it does several things to the body. Let me get this a little more steady. There we go. So stress does a lot of things to the body. Number one, stress can interrupt your sleep. stress will interrupt your sleep because you are so full of epinephrine and so full of sugar that the cortisol brought that it's hard to sleep. You're basically hyped up. So you have interruptions in your sleep. Stress can cause our heart rates to go up, right? So feeling like we're having palpitations, we feel like our heart's racing, skipping a beat sometimes. That's a stress. Stress can do that as well. Stress will cause you to have problems remembering things. Remember, the stress response really is your body reacting to a threat, reacting to demands on itself. And so during a threat, and the silly example that I use is if you're out and all of a sudden a tiger starts chasing you, your body is going to go, epinephrine is going to go out, it's going to get your body ready to receive energy. Cortisol is going to go out and it's going to find sugar, it's going to dump it into your bloodstream so that you have energy to run away from the tiger. During that time, the body doesn't want you to remember things, right? So it will blunt your memory so that all you know at that point is that I need to run. I need to get away. I need to move from this space. And so sometimes people will have memory issues because of stress. And it is a natural response in how the body processes and what the body does to keep you safe, essentially is what the stress response does. So these are all things that can happen in the stress response, and that's why it's important to be able to manage stress. If you don't manage stress well, then you can see it can have lots of effects all over the body. And those are just 3 or 4 of the major things, but there are a lot more that can happen that we won't take time to get into all of those today, other than to say that when we're managing our stress, then we are able to blunt those responses in the body and to keep us and set ourselves up for success. Okay? So how do we manage stress effectively? How do we manage stress effectively? One, we have to identify the stress. We have to identify the stress. And if we don't identify the stress, then we really don't know what we need to do to adjust. And identifying the stress does not mean that we are getting rid of the stress. Now, there are many situations that we're in that we can't get out of. I should say we can't get out of. It is a little bit more challenging to get out of. So you're at the job and there's someone on your job that's stressing you out all the time. Now you can leave and you can change jobs, but that's not practical for most of us. And so the question is, what do we do on the job that allows us to maintain our sanity, get our job done, and not be stressed all the time? Okay, so we're talking about stress management. So one, you want to identify what the stressor is. Number two, in terms of, and I've got a lawnmower that's going by here. Number two, you want to develop a healthy response. Now, there is a mechanism that I teach called the COPE model. And the COPE model says that we want to clarify, we want to observe, and I think I'm going to go another direction. We want to clarify, so we're clarifying what the stressor is, right? We are observing where that stressor is appearing in our body. What is it causing? What else is it doing to our heart rate and is it giving us a headache? Once we've observed, we are pausing, pause, process, and then we pick another method of dealing with whatever it is, right? So we clarify what the stressor is. It's that conversation I just had. It's that argument I just had. It's that evaluation I just had. So we pause, or we clarify, we observe, where is that showing up in my body? We pause, process and pick, and then we execute. Okay, I'm gonna pause right here. All right, so I'm back, and our lawnmower is behind me. You'll see it back there. So the COPE model really is just another mechanism for dealing with stress. And so what we want to do is, after we've identified the stress, then we want to develop healthy ways of dealing with stress. Maybe we're going to work on our mindfulness. Maybe we're going to exercise. Maybe we're going to journal. Maybe we are going to work on doing something else that sets us up for success, as in we're going to go get some counseling, right? So all of those things are ways that we can use something that's different than what we normally would do. And that's really the key, because sometimes there are things that we do that don't set us up for success, okay? Number 3, we want to establish boundaries. And this is a big one, because many of our stressors often stem from overcommitment and the inability to establish clear boundaries with other people. Overcommitment. Well, one, we say yes to everything. We don't know how to say no. Right? So someone asks us to do something and we do it, even though we already know that our calendar is already booked. We don't have the time. And so we become stressed because now we've got to find the time. We've got to find the time to deal with all of those things. Not being able to say no, okay? We also get stressed because we allow people to overstep our boundaries and we don't correct them. We don't address them because we don't want to hurt their feelings. We say that, oh, it's okay. And so we allow things to kind of fester. And of course, you know, whenever things fester, they don't go away. They actually just magnify. They get bigger and bigger and bigger until one day that person that oversteps the boundary gets the brunt of it. And they're like, well, what did I do? Well, it wasn't that they did something. It was like all the people before them that overstepped the boundaries, or things that you were not firm on, that even you may have broken some of your boundaries. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're establishing boundaries that we are keeping. Right, so make sure not just establishing it, but make sure you are keeping those boundaries. And then you want to take time to recharge. This is a big one for lots of us, particularly if you are a driven person, particularly if you are a person that does you like to have success, and so you are in the process, even now, 100-day walk to consistency. You're doing this because you want to set yourself up for success, and there's something that you want to do. There's something that you're working on, something that you're thinking about, and you need to jumpstart yourself. You need to be able to set yourself in a position where that becomes an easy thing to do. And so, because we're driven, because we have this motivation, sometimes we don't take time to recharge. We just keep going and going and going and going. We think we're kind of like the Energizer Bunny. But remember that you can only give what you have. So if you're not charged, if you're not replenished, if you are not full, then you can't really give to other people, right? And that causes not just problems for you, but it causes problems in all of your different situations, because now you're causing more stresses. So make sure that you are recharging, you're replenishing. So important. And then you want to make sure that you learn relaxation techniques. That is so important. Like, that goes back to some of the things that we said that we've got to do in terms of learning new skills, right? Relaxation techniques. Whether that's yoga, whether that's meditation, whether that's listening to music. Now, I'll tell you, one of the things that I think is amazing, and many of you out there, you used to take music lessons, you used to take piano lessons, you used to take lessons and different instruments, and you haven't done that for a while. Here's an opportunity to pick it up again. I think music is an amazing way of relaxing. Learn how to play, learn how to move, learn how to spend some time at your house. Get a piano, get a keyboard or something where you're able to use that, and that will set you up for success. So make sure that you are doing those things, because those are amazing ways of relaxing. Okay, so 1, identify the stress, develop healthy responses to stress, establish boundaries, take time to recharge, and then learn relaxation techniques so that you can use those and put those into play. Now, one point about the learning part is often we will read about something and we put it on the shelf and we wait until we're in the situation to try to implement it. That doesn't work. So you have to be practicing. You've got to read about it, you got to look at it, and then do some scenarios, right? Do some practice runs. Well, what would I do in this situation? How would I use this model? How would I use this technique? How would I use this? So practice, because that's the only way that you're going to set yourself up for success. Okay? Make sure that you're doing that. So what are the benefits of stress management? What are the benefits of stress management? Well, 1, enhanced health and wellness. Stress can have some really crazy and really profound impacts on our body. Well, as I mentioned before, when we are stressed, for example, we don't sleep well. If you don't sleep well, then your energy level is low and your thought process is not as sharp. That now, you go to work and you're kind of sluggish, you're not sharp in your work. That causes problems at work. Now you have problems at work, your evaluation goes down, you come home and you're irritable at home. That causes problems at home. And because you're having problems in all those spaces, what do? How do we buffer? We begin eating. And now eating causes our blood sugar to go up. It causes our weight to go up. Our appetite is stimulated. Now notice, this all started because, for example, you may have had someone who overstepped the boundary that you didn't deal with, or an evaluation at the job with your boss and you took it personally, or any number of stressors that we didn't deal with. So stress can have an impact on our general wellness, well-being, and on our health. And then stress can also impact our family, as I mentioned, right? So the biggest stressor for many of us has to do with family. And if things are not going well in terms of family, then that causes issues for us. It causes us to begin buffering in other ways. And that sets us up for problems. So when we deal with stress, we have enhanced health and well-being. Number one, right? So we feel better, we live better, we do better things, we do more things for our health. We're more motivated to be healthy, to eat healthy, to walk, right? 100-day walk to consistency. We're more motivated to be consistent. And when we're consistent, we have more confidence. When we're confident, we have more consistency. And we, of course, get back into that cycle. And then, of course, it improves our focus and it improves our efficiency. So when you are dealing with stress in a productive way, then you are able to focus. You're able to deal with other things that come. Because when stress comes, all of your energies can sometimes be directed towards dealing with the stressor. And because you're dealing with the stressor, it takes your focus off of other areas, off of your work. And I can't say enough about the process of dealing with that. And then you become more efficient if you're dealing with stresses. All right, so those are the benefits. Well, you know, in managing stress, a couple of things. Visualization, very important, because we can visualize ourselves in a position that where we're dealing with the stress, where we have actually dealt with it, where the stressor is handled, where the boundaries are kept, where we are efficient, where we're resting, right? So whatever it is, visualize yourself using the stress relax or the stress management technique. I've told you one of my main ones, visualization wise, and that is, I go to St. Simon's Island. Now everybody, now don't rush over there. Now I don't want to see a whole lot of people getting over there and using up my space over there. But St. Simon's Island is a great place, right? So, but pick your place. It may be a different island. It may be a different part of the country. Maybe a different country altogether. It may be a different room in your house, a different part of your property. But whatever your thing is, use that and begin visualizing it so that you can use it whenever you need to go there. The COPE model, right? So clarify, observe, pause, and execute. Beautiful model for being able to identify stressors.
Time 28 minutes 47 seconds. Total distance 1.0 miles. Average pace 28 minutes 46 seconds per mile. Split pace 28 minutes 46 seconds per mile.
So all those things are models, they're tools that I want you to make sure that you are using. Well, you know, we can't ever leave one of our discussions, one of our walks without giving a challenge. And so here's your challenge for today. I want you to identify one stressor, right? Choose a stressor that you regularly encounter, right? Because there are several that we see all the time. So I want you to choose one that you regularly encounter. I want you to write it down. Think about healthy ways that you can use to manage that stressor, right? What are some things that you can do? Notice, by identifying the stressor, you have to kind of look at it, say, where is it coming from? What is it causing? All the things that we talked about, for instance, in the COPE model. And then write it down, and what are some ways that you can effectively deal with it? And then I want you to take action. Anything that we come up with, if it's just in our head, then it's theory. But we've got to take action to help that to be moved into our reality, right? So take action on it and then evaluate to see, is it working? Has it done what we said that it was going to do? And then recycle, right? So identify one, write it down, think about healthy ways that you can deal with that stressor, and then take some action, take an action on that stressor, and then evaluate to see how that stressor has done, or that action that you did has done, okay? Make sure you do that. So managing stress is not just about taking time off or going off somewhere. It's about finding reasonable and successful and workable tools to be able to apply across the board. As you are going through this particular topic, as you're going through the workbook, as you're doing the challenges, I want you to spend some time and really learn, really figure out how to incorporate these things into your life. Because if you can do that, it has implications not just for you walking for 100 days. It has implications for the rest of your life. Thank you for joining me. Before I go, I just want to encourage you once again, join the challenge. Make sure you're doing the challenges. This is your way of putting into practice the things that we're learning. And then make sure you do the workbook. When you're done with this workbook, you would have created a manual for your success. Make sure you're having some success there. Make sure you're spending the time, putting the time into getting that done. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode as always. Thank you for joining me for my 100-day walk to consistency. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for Endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We'll see you tomorrow for our next walk. I'll see you on the trail.